Okay, so I first heard about this topic in a group a few months ago. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it. But then I started researching it, finding out more and more about it, and I'm like, are you mean to tell me we almost got a Justice League movie from the man responsible for such great scenes as this?
You will ride eternal, shining and chrome.
So yes, you can imagine I had to dig in, and the more and more I found out about it, the more and more I think I want it more than I want another Snyder movie. Either way, it's something I had to research to make a video, and for this one, it's time to get the gavel out.
Jesus Christ. Heavens, no. Same city, completely different zip code.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. You've clicked on Gotham Cenobites. I'm Terry, and today's video is going to be an interesting one. Like I said, I was moseying around on Facebook, and I saw some post on Facebook that said, what movie would you want to be made that didn't come to fruition? And this was one of the answers. And I asked the guy, like, are you sure this was real? And he told me the name. It was going to be titled Justice League Mortal. And the more research I did, the more I found out. And then it's George Miller was tasked with directing it. Mad Max Fury Road is the only movie that I actually paid to go see 3 times. It was one of the best, I think, movie-going experiences I've still have ever had. Just the epicness, the scope, it all being practical effects, just the music, just the intense moments. I mean, that movie completely blew me away. And I'd always grown up watching the original Mad Max movies, which he also did, and seeing this one, because I used to watch those with my dad, so seeing this one, me and the wife saw it twice, and then when my dad came into town, we took him to see it. So I mean, I absolutely love that movie. It will always be in my top 5. So finding out that this guy in 2007 was given a $200 million budget to do a Justice League movie just completely threw me, for a loop. So I had to dig in and find out the story of this movie, and we're starting. It was right after 2006's Superman Returns blunder, and Batman Begins was out, I think that same year, maybe 2005. So to me, reading this and researching all this, I've often wondered, why didn't they just try to use Christian Bale and I can't think of that actor's name, whoever it was who played Superman in Superman Returns. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they reached out to them and they denied it. I know Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale were both publicly against this movie, and I know at one point Christian Bale said that he needs to wait until our 3rd Batman film until they make this movie. So it was George Miller directing it. Kieran and Michelle Mulroney were the writers, and they clearly know their stuff about comics, because the story is outstanding. The full script is online, and I will link that in the description below. I'm going to try to give you a synopsis, but I encourage you. I'm going to tag another video in this description as well. But every video I watched to do research for this. But so those were the writers, and Weta Workshop were actually they had costumes made and fitted with the actors, and they've even started building movie sets. So I mean, this movie was weeks from filming before it was finally canceled. Alright, so the cast. I'm sure they would have cast more people. Because I don't see a Lois or an Alfred. I'm sure they would have had to have casted those. But this is the cast that actually came to fruition. These are actually the actors who all got together in Australia and actually rehearsed and all this stuff. But it was Armie Hammer was said to be Batman. This guy was kind of an unknown at the time. DJ Cotrona was going to be Superman. Another unknown, maybe to me, but Megan Gale was going to be Wonder Woman. Adam Brody was going to be the Flash. The guy you saw in that video, who played Immortan Joe eventually, Hugh Keys Byrne, was going to be Martian Manhunter. Teresa Palmer was going to be Talia al Ghul. Zoe Kazan was going to be Iris Allen. So she would have already been married to the Barry, the Flash. Santiago Cabrera was going to be Aquaman. This guy is one of the first, or one of the only, Armie Hammer, and then, like I said, Immortan Joe. But this guy, everybody knows who he is. He's in a lot of comedies. Jay Baruchel, however you say that, sorry, man, was going to be Maxwell Lord. Common was going to be John Stewart. So the Green Lantern in this movie was obviously going to be John Stewart. And then last but not least, Anton Yelchin was going to be Wally West, or eventually, Kid Flash. He does also have access to the Speed Force. Now, my thoughts on this cast was there's a few unknowns at the time. Some of these guys actually did pop back up in current DC movies, but for the most part, there's only a few in there. Armie Hammer, Jay Baruchel, Common, and of course Anton Yelchin. I don't remember the years, but he eventually was Chekhov in the rebooted Star Trek movies. Him and Hugh Keays-Byrne, rest in peace. They both have passed since then. But my thoughts on the cast, I think to jumpstart a universe like this, you kind of got to have some unknowns and young people that can grow into these roles. Hopefully it's successful, right? You always want to plan for that. So I don't have any problems with the cast. Other probably than Armie Hammer. I still can't see him as Batman. And if you read into his personal dealings, I don't think he would have lasted anyway, much like Ezra. I think he would have eventually had to be recast if this was made and if this was successful. But, so yeah, that's my thoughts on the cast. Okay, so story. I'm going to keep it brief. I encourage you, follow the links. I'm going to link the description that shows the full script. You can read it yourself. I am going to also include a video on this same topic, and he actually goes over the whole story in pretty great detail. But to me, once I found this is probably what he's reading. But anyways, I'm going to put that in the description if you're curious on the entire story. But the long and the short, Maxwell Lord owns a chain of restaurants called Planet Krypton. Together with Talia al Ghul, they're able to take over Bruce Wayne's Brother Eye satellite, which he has to get information on all the other Justice League members to find out their weaknesses. So once they take it over, they end up doing primo damage to most of the Justice League, but they end up coming back together at the end. But what ends up happening is Maxwell Lord launches this OMAC project. And with the satellite, he's able to have all the nano stuff that he's been putting in people from the restaurants he has. Planet Krypton, everybody's been eating these nano things. And when he activates it, every person who's ever eaten turns into one of these OMAC super soldier nanobot soldiers. So the climax at the end, he's able to mind control Superman with this same technology. And then Superman and Wonder Woman have this epic brawl. And during the brawl, she finds out from Max the only way to stop it is to kill me. So she ends up, I can't kill you, but while she's battling Superman, Batman shows up, breaks his neck, boom, kills him. All Chappie style, if you've seen Chappie, you know that when they die, their consciousness, so his consciousness exits his dead body, searching for another host, and ends up latching on to a computer that Talia's plugged into. Bruce tries to get over there to save her, but the computer ends up, infecting her, telling her to initiate the OMAC War. So once she initiates OMAC War, she dies on the attached to this machine, and then of course his essence exits and tries to find another host. The closest nearby host was the Flash, so he latches on to the Flash, and Flash being a meta, he turns into the OMAC Ultra. And with that, I think the only way to get rid of it, the Flash ends up having to run as fast as he can, and it's referenced in the script earlier in the movie. Somebody's asking him a question about how fast he runs, and he said, if I do this, it'll end up killing me. So him, infected with Maxwell or the OMAC virus, he starts running, and he ends up slamming into the speed barrier or the cosmic wall of light. And as he enters through it, it kills Max, but it also kills the Flash. So at the end of the day, Superman does end up telling Bruce, you were right to have all these contingencies on us, just in case the worst were to happen. And then, of course, they're at Flash's funeral, but I think he's married to Iris. Her nephew is played by Anton, the Wally West, and he ends up joining the Justice League, taking Flash's spot because he also has access to the Speed Force. And then the movie kind of ends with them all together. Justice League is united, and they end up seeing another threat, which I believe is Starro. So that's also used again later. And then the movie ends with them launching themselves through outer space to battle Starro the Conqueror. I guess the main question you're asking is, what happened to this movie? Well, like I said, they had everything written, everything casted, contracts negotiated, costumes created, even fit tested with most of the actors. The picture from the thumbnail is most of the actors. Of course, you see the Green Lantern in that picture. It was a white guy. So, but yeah, they had everything prepped. They had started building sets when Strike 1 was the 2007 writer's strike. So that put a lot of projects on the back burner. It also put this on the back burner. But eventually, it resolved itself. When they came back, they were working on finalizing the script. I think the original budget was $200 million. And for what he wanted to do, what he had done, it was going to exceed, I want to say it was 220 to 225 million. So WB was already not happy about him going over budget. Well, George Miller's solution was, let's film it in Australia. That's where I'm from. He's from Australia. Some of the cast is from Australia. Australia has this film tax break to where they would have saved 40% in taxes, so money they would have gotten back. But Australia ultimately ended up denying the tax break, said that they didn't have enough crew or actors in the movie that were Australian to qualify. So strike two was Australia pretty much denying the tax break. I mean, George Miller has even publicly, trashed Australia for making that decision. So ultimately, they ended up having to pick up shop and go to Canada, and they were getting everything ready there. Meanwhile, like I said, the whole process started in 2007. We're into 2008 now, where if you're a DC person, you know that Dark Knight was released in 2008, and it was a massive success. Like, me and the wife saw it twice. We snuck into it a third time. We were at the theater to see something else. So it was a massive success. So strike three was The Dark Knight was too successful, and it ended up causing WB to do what they always do and pull the plug. I mean, they showed when 2006 Superman failed, they abandoned ship instead of trying to create this shared universe event. The Green Lantern, which I enjoyed. I'll be honest with you, the Superman I just talked about, I've never seen. I'm not a big Superman person. I'd watch a Justice League. Man of Steel, love it. But I didn't watch that Superman movie. But the Green Lantern movie, I liked it. I really did. But once again, didn't do too well, so WB backs out. So WB doing what they do, that was strike three. We don't want to confuse the fans by having Christian Bale's Batman around the same time that this launches with another Batman. So that ended up being the final nail in the coffin, and this project was killed. But later on, some of these actors would appear, actors and characters. The characters that showed back up, well, Common was supposed to be the Green Lantern, a massive character. Sorry, cancelled. But he was in Suicide Squad as one of the Joker's henchmen who... You guys have seen that. You remember Common in that movie. Adam Brody and DJ Katrona were supposed to be the Flash and Superman. Well, they were offered roles in Shazam as the Freddy and Pedro when they're in their adult Shazam form. So that was cool that they got to come back and actually still be a DC character. And then, of course, me doing research about all these characters, I'll admit, I didn't know who the hell Maxwell Lord was. So doing my research to figure out him, it was brought up to me that Pedro Pascal actually already played Max Lord in Wonder Woman 84. So they still used the character, but it was a massive underwhelming introduction of Max Lord. I mean, if you read about what Max Lord does, that wasn't it in that movie. That wasn't it. So in closing, I meant what I said in the beginning. If you guys know me, and you know that some of the stuff I've said in my videos, you guys know what a massive Zack Snyder fan I am. But still, after reading the script, doing all the research I've seen, what could have been, we could have had a massive, epic movie that then, they were kind of doing it backwards from Marvel. They were doing the big event, and then the plan was to do solo movies to introduce, more of who these characters are. I would have loved to have seen that. But ultimately, we were denied it, and honestly, I mean, when I went to look up George Miller's filmography, it's really only these Mad Max movies and then Happy Feet, which I guess that's how he got his foot in the door with WB. But I mean, he's done other stuff, but nothing that's widely known to everybody. So I can understand at the time them not trusting him, I guess, and I don't know. To me, I don't think Zack Snyder had done too terribly much else. I mean, 300 is good. I have to go back and rewatch Watchmen, but I remember not caring for it. But it's probably just because I don't know who these characters are. But and at the time, I mean, as awesome as Fury Road is, it wasn't out until 2015. So that epic movie wasn't out yet to pad his resume, and who knows if this Justice League movie happened, and let's say it was successful, he's probably working on this, and we don't even get Fury Road. So I mean, you gotta weigh the good with the bad. I would have loved to have seen this, and I would still love James Gunn to give George Miller a chance, because, and I encourage you all, if you have not seen Mad Max Fury Road, go watch it. Go watch it. You gotta see it at least one time. And the Furiosa prequel, I think it's coming next year. So it's I can't wait for it. I will be there in theaters to see Furiosa. But you guys let me know in the comments below. I mean, is this something you would have been interested in? Do you agree with WB? I mean, I love Dark Knight, but it killed this movie. So I would have rather gotten this movie over Dark Knight Rises, because I mean, I love Tom Hardy. I mean, he's Mad Max in Fury Road. Go watch it. But I would have rather gotten this movie over Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, one more time, if you like this video, give it a like. I appreciate all of you people that have made it this far. Thank you guys so much. What's next for me is tomorrow I'm going to see Guardians, and I may or may not do a video on that. Depends on how I feel. But yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think of this idea. Let me know if you trust George Miller with the product. I mean, do you think we would have gotten a good movie, or do you think it would be another notch in the failures from WB and the pain that causes me? I mean, I don't understand why WB can't make it a successful DCU. I mean, they got to get out of their own way, and you trust the people that you hire to do what they do with your property. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it. We didn't get it, but thank you guys again for watching, and yeah, I will, as always, catch you on the next one. Peace.
Court's adjourned.